Meanwhile, of course, Donald Trump, legal issues aside, is continuing to use dehumanizing language about migrants, rhetorics that has historians drawing comparisons to phrases that were used by Adolf Hitler. Here's what he said in one of 17 videos posted on social media just last night.
Illegal immigration is poisoning the blood of our nation. They're coming from prisons, from mental institutions, from all over the world. Without borders and fair elections, you don't have a country. Make America great again. We must win in 2024, or we will not have a nation. Thank you.
So it's been pointed out to Donald Trump where this comes from and what the rhetoric has hints of, and yet he keeps on using it. So why does he keep saying things like that? Well, maybe because recent polling shows that those anti-immigrant comments are helping him more than they're hurting him, specifically with Republicans in Iowa. In the latest NBC News Des Moines Register Media.com poll, which was conducted earlier this month, 42% of likely Iowa Republican caucus goers said Trump's poisoning the blood remark made them more likely to support him. That's compared to 28% who said those comments made them less likely to caucus for Trump, and 29% who said it had no bearing on their support for him. I mean, I think, Jen, I guess the question for Democrats here is how do they counter this? Because just pointing out that this has echoes of Adolf Hitler, and I've just come from spending a few days in Vienna, and remarkably, people were talking about these comments in that city, where you can imagine the resonance is so vibrant. What did Democrats do to counter that polling that shows that more people will vote for him because of those comments?
Well, it's more people within the Republican Party, right? And it's even, it's not even a majority. It's not, I mean, I look at that and I'm like, okay, it's 42% of Republicans. That's not a majority of Republicans. And that's certainly not a majority of Americans. And I think, and this is, I mean, I think we all know that this is what the media struggles with, and what I think the Biden White House tries to calibrate is how hard do you go after defining Trump and how early, because people become, because the things that he says is so extreme. Comparisons, you know, how long is your runway that you can continue to, that people don't start to tune out because they've heard time and time again, this is the most extreme thing ever. This is the most racist thing ever. This is calling back to phrases from Hitler. And so it's like, it's hard to calibrate that. But I think what they have decided that they need to do, and you know, you see the president do this in fundraisers, and when the campaign really gets underway soon, because this campaign is going to start soon, because Trump is going to probably wrap up the nomination early. They're going to be that tough on him because the president's words are going to have resonance, even when we keep hearing over and over again just how dangerous Trump is. It's really the only option you have.
Sam, it's usually a rule of politics that if you have to say things like, I haven't read Mein Kampf, that means you're probably losing. But that does not appear to be the case this time around. Trump has had to issue that denial in recent days, but yet certainly his poll numbers haven't slipped. So Jen just touched upon how the Biden team is going to approach this, and we've been writing on that as well, that they're going to call it out as they see it. But what do you think other Republicans might do? Those, who reliably stand up to Trump. We heard from Mitch McConnell this week saying that he condemned these kind of remarks. But what about the Republican primary field, those who are, at least in theory, trying to beat Donald Trump?
Oh, we've seen it, right? Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, sort of tepid pushback, I would argue, saying it's language they would not have used, inappropriate perhaps, but nothing along the lines of comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler, which the Biden campaign has done. I mean, the Biden campaign literally put together a graphic with Trump's image and Hitler's side by side and comparing the quotes. That's not a fairly aggressive, that's a highly aggressive campaign attack from the Biden campaign, which they say is justified. They said the historians are pointing out that this is fascist, authoritarian rhetoric, I should say. But yeah, the Republicans have not gone to that length. I think part of the reason is obvious. the polling, as we noted, supports in the context of Republican primary, supports what Trump is saying. I find the more interesting conversation to be the one that Jen had, which is like, where does the Biden campaign bring this? And one of the things I've been trying to grapple with and trying to figure out is, are they worried at all that because by fact that we've been through 4 years of Trump and came out on the other end, and here we are, that maybe the voting public doesn't take these threats of, fascism and the loss of democracy all that seriously. They've lived through it. They survived it. They came out on the other side. Maybe when they hear the Biden campaign say, hey, this guy's evoking Adolf Hitler, echoing Adolf Hitler, they say, yeah, we dealt with Trump for 4 years. We know who he is. And it didn't ruin us. So why are you saying that now? And I do wonder if that's in the back of the Biden campaign's mind.
Yeah, there's certainly a fear that voters have been desensitized, and the Republicans have done a really good job in downplaying what happened on January 6th, for example, whitewashing that. And there is a fear that could be the stakes of a Trump presidency may not be quite known to all the voters.